Okay, I think we'll get started. Looks like numbers have slowed down on the login portion. So anyway, my name is Dean McKeown. I'm the director of the Master of Management and Artificial Intelligence program here at Smith School of Business. So thank you very much for taking time out of your day to learn a bit about the program and hopefully get some of your questions answered as well. As we go through the presentation, I do have my colleague Alex here, and Alex is going to be answering questions as they come in. So if you want to use the Q&A box to ask questions as you think of them, please go ahead and do that. What Alex will do, though, he'll answer several, especially if they're particular to you and your application. He'll answer them directly, but if it's something that pertains to the greater group of people, he might actually leave those towards the end, and I can address them at the end of the presentation. So again, my name is Dean McKeown. We're here for the Master of Management in Artificial Intelligence. So thanks a lot, and let's get started. Okay. All right, so the first thing we like to do at Smith is to acknowledge the land that we get to play on here and learn. And Smith Toronto itself is situated on the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat Patuxent First Nations, the Seneca and the Mississaugas of the Credit River, and we are grateful to be able to live, play, and learn on these lands. Okay, now one of my goals for sure as director of these academic programs is to make sure you're in the right program. We don't want anybody to start a program and then realize, oh, I didn't know about there was another one out there. So I like to start this, the MMAI webinar particularly to show you sort of the breadth. We actually have a total of like 14 different professional masters or postgraduate programs at Smith. And so here are the four, I think, that are kind of most relevant to AI. So we do have our Masters of Management in Analytics. We have our Masters of Financial Innovation and Technology, or the MFIT degree, and we have our newest offering is the Masters of Digital Product Management, as well as the Masters of Management in Artificial Intelligence. So I just have a couple of descriptor words up there for what each program is like. So if you see yourself interested in one of those programs as well, make sure you take a look on our website and sign up for a webinar for those as well. Because as I mentioned, we want you to take the program that is most relevant and interesting to you. And like I said, we have a lot. So it's important that you join the program that you want to join. Now, what are we doing here today? So MMAI. So at the very sort of top of the pile, right, this is a full master's degree. You take it in 12 months. You can expect a lot of academic rigor as you study in this program. We do have things like exams, we have assignments, we have team projects, we have presentations, and lots of other types of communication that you can get involved in practice. But it is not the kind of degree where you can pay your money and get your paper. You will have to work very hard in order to get this degree. We know, and we've seen, this is about, we've been running this program for 7 years now, and we've seen tremendous career trajectory from our graduates. And so, this is your opportunity to really think about your career. Where am I going? What am I doing 3 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? And this is the kind of program that could really launch your career. This is an opportunity for you to try different things, to fail fast and get back up and learn about the latest in artificial intelligence in a business curriculum as well. One of the things we definitely believe in is you can't do this by yourself. You can have the best technology in the world, but if you can't work with others, it's not going to happen. And so this is why it's really important to be able to practice working with other people as well. Try different things, figure out what your most important strategies are going to be. And again, this is an opportunity for you to try that out, develop those interpersonal skills. And like I said, try new things, practice your communications and your storytelling. That's what this program is really all about, is about, emphasizing your story, your ideas, your thoughts, and your processes, and certainly your goals, and how do you get to accomplish those. Now, AI, right? Everyone's talking about AI. This McKinsey report just came out in 2025. It's nice and relevant. And it's very, very telling. And I think it basically explains why this program exists and why this program is so popular at the moment. Every single company out there is thinking about AI. Okay. Everyone is investing, and in some cases, millions of dollars, but only 1% believe they're at maturity. Okay. And so this McKinsey report says that the scaling is not an issue about employees. It's not about really employees training. It's not about the technology piece, but it's really about the leadership. And the leadership is a little bit worried, right? They're a little bit concerned about, where AI is today, where is it going in the future, and how can it change business? Everyone is very convinced that AI is going to change the way we do business, right? I don't think that that's up to dispute. The problem with AI right now is that the definition of AI changes, right? It's a sliding scale. And so it's become very, very difficult for anybody to think, okay, you know what, we're going to develop a strategy. It's going to be a 5-year strategy. You can't develop a 5-year strategy around AI because you have no idea what the next AI type products are going to be about. So this is where it's really important to understand the underlying technology below AI. Think about your business and the processes within your business and the people that are involved in your business, and how can you leverage AI to the best of your ability today. And again, here we are, 92% of companies plan to invest more in generative AI over the next 3 years. There's no doubt about it. Like I mentioned, every company is thinking about AI and how to do it. And again, we're back to that 1% who believes that their investments have actually reached maturity. Lots of room to grow. And when there's room to grow and there's money to be invested, that means opportunity for you and I. And again, here's the part of the McKinsey report, right? 47% of the C-suite say their companies are developing AI tools too slowly. I would argue that a lot of that has to do with that, again, that definition of AI. What is it? Where is it? Where is it going? It changes very, very quickly. And even though most organizations have started investing more than a year ago, like I said, that bar keeps changing, right? Those goals keep changing. How can you be agile enough to be able to keep up with these changes? And how can you think 4 or 5 years into the future? It's very, very difficult. And so, when you look at the quote there on the right-hand side, 1.3 times more likely for employees to trust their own companies to get Gen AI deployment right than they are to trust other institutions. So that means people are reflective. People are thinking about, okay, how can we do this? How can we make life better? How can we make our processes better, more efficient? Which is good, because the more we talk about it, the more people are going to learn about it, and the more people are then going to understand it and think about the implementation of it. So that's a really important thing, that these discussions are happening internally. We're not there yet. We don't know what it's going to look like, but at least people are talking about it. And so this is, a rare and phenomenal opportunity that the world really has not seen in a very long time, right? I don't think we've had technologies where almost 90% of leaders anticipate deploying AI and thinking that that's going to help you divide, your revenue growth, but also your efficiencies and that sort of thing. And how can you transform your organization? We have to remember that 70% of transformations fail. But I would argue that the stakes are so high right now that a lot of organizations can't afford that failure. And so it's important that they start thinking about how to do this. And of course, it's not about a company doing this, it's about people. And this is the opportunity for people and the graduates of the MMAI program to take a lead in these organizations. Really think about, okay, I know the technology, I know the business, let's do this, and let's do this right. We can't afford to fail. And so the companies that do not fail, who are very successful, they're the ones who are going to be leading the next decade. Now, what do we do? Right? So this is my version of a pyramid. I know it's only 2-dimensional, but these are the foundations for building success in artificial intelligence, right? There's some very fundamental pieces. You've got to have verified and trusted data. You have to know where the data is coming from, and you have to know how to leverage that data. And then we're going to talk about 4 different types of analytics, okay? So the progressive analytics each type of analytics is equally important, but it leads us up into doing the possible of artificial intelligence. So when you think about the analytics, we're talking descriptive analytics, predictive analytics and predictive modeling, and then prescriptive analytics. And then once we get those things figured out, then we can start automating the decision-making processes through AI. And so that's what we're going to be focused on in this program. Now, of course, there's a lot of mathematics, okay? So this is the bottom line, is that, you have to be able to understand machine learning models, and you have to figure out what machine learning model is going to work best with your particular data set. So once you've got that verified and trusted data, then you have to start thinking about, okay, what model am I going to use? And then how do I interpret the results of my model, right? How do I know that I'm getting the results that I expected? How do I know that this is actually going to solve the problem that I'm trying to solve? And how do you evaluate that? So one of the things we're seeing now is a lot of people are doing sandboxes. A lot of people are understanding, AI and getting the data and all that kind of stuff. But running a sandbox is very different than running in real life. How do you operationalize this stuff? How do you scale it up? So these are the kind of questions that we're going to be looking at in this program as well. And then how do I select which features? We always talk about the minimum viable product, and we really want to be able to focus on that to make sure it actually works. But sometimes that's just not enough, right? We want to get some of these other features. We want to include different things in our model, and that model will lead to other decision making as well. And so really what it is about automated decision making based on evidence, and usually in real time, or at least as quickly as possible. Now, this program, right? So we are a business school offering a very technical program. And that, I don't think I can emphasize that enough, right? Because what we want to do, we don't want to just understand the technology, okay? One thing about reinforcement learning, natural language processing, those are great technologies to understand, and we're going to be looking at those with specific courses in those areas as well in the program. But we want to go back to the basics. We want to understand, what is the business problem that we're trying to solve here, right? Are we trying to increase revenue? Are we trying to manage pricing a little more effectively? Are we managing the supply chain? What exactly are we trying to solve here? And then how can we leverage the technology to help solve that problem? Okay, so that's always our fundamental piece. It's a bit of a broader approach to solving these business problems using artificial intelligence and data analysis. It's not just about AI for the sake of AI, right? We want to have a focus. We want to be able to understand, what is our return on our investment? How is this actually going to work going forward? And how can we leverage this technology to the best of our abilities? And then again, as I mentioned off the top, right, we have to develop business leaders. Organizations need leadership in this area. And it's hard to be a leader when you don't fully understand what you're doing, right? So we want you to understand the technology. We want you to understand the business. And we want to be that bridge between the business side and the technology side. And then we want you to be able to leverage your work with other people, right? How do I work with people? How do I persuade people? How do I negotiate? Those kinds of, soft skills are extremely important, especially when you're talking about these sort of technology-driven areas. And so we have a whole structure of teams and team coaching in this program, which is going to help you out with that. Now, here's the actual courses that we're offering. We start off with method courses. How do you do it, right? How do you do the models? So we have mathematics for AI. We start in with machine learning and AI technology, so you get a good introduction to what the heck we're talking about here with AI. And then we want to think differently, right? So that's where innovation entrepreneurship come into play, because it is thinking outside the box, right? Just because you have some set processes that have been in place for 10, 15 years, it doesn't mean they're the best process. Maybe we can do things a little bit differently. As we transform them digitally, we have to think about that. So we want you to think innovation and entrepreneurship. And then we have our technical courses. So we're going to do those deep dives into things like deep learning, natural language processing, reinforcement learning. And then we want to understand the application of this knowledge as well. It's one thing to talk about neural networks, but it's another thing to think about, okay, how can I actually use this in my organization? And thinking about some of the pitfalls to that as well. For example, getting back to the neural network, if you work in a financial institution and you're building an artificially intelligent system that's going to make some credit decisions for you, you may not be able to use a neural network, even though it's fast and accurate. It's not very explainable. And so if you have to worry about the regulators looking over your shoulder to see how you're making decisions, a neural network may not be the best option for you, or may not even be an option for you. You may just have to go back to something like a decision tree, for example. And then we want to apply this knowledge, right? So we have these three courses, AI in finance, AI in marketing, and we also have a capstone project. And so the capstone is something that you apply your knowledge throughout the entire program, and you apply it to something that is quite operational and something very doable. Okay, we want to be able to see that as an understanding of your learning throughout the program and your experience and knowledge of these technologies like deep learning, natural language processing, reinforcement learning, and machine learning. And then, as I mentioned before, it's all about people as well. So it can't be just about technology. You have to understand people. And so we have a collection of power skill courses in this program about agile project management for AI ethics and policy, and leading change. How do I get this change to actually happen in my organization? So we've got a specific course leading change on that as well. Now, so I just shifted this slide this morning. We do have a start date for the MMAI program in May 2025. So literally 2 weeks from now, we are starting the program. If you are completely and entirely convinced that you want to get into the program as quickly as possible, we can possibly work with you to get that application complete between now and May 2nd. It's doubtful, primarily around areas like official transcripts and references. They tend to take a little bit of time, but if you're hell-bent and determined to join the program, we can work with you to make sure your application is complete and to be able to join. But for all intents and purposes, today's webinar, we are starting to now think 12 months away and to the May 2026 start date for the program. It does start just once a year. So it's always good to get your application in early. This is pretty early, but we'll accept you. We have the processes in place to accept your application. Excuse me. The class itself is offered one night every week, plus weekend day bi-weekly for 12 months. So think about it. Tuesday nights, 5:30 to 9:30, and then every other Saturday for 12 months. We are located downtown Toronto, right across the road from the Metro Toronto Convention Center. If you haven't been to Smith Toronto before, I highly recommend you can book a classroom visit or come and see a live webinar or live information session. We're happy to host you there, and you can sort of participate in the class and that kind of stuff. We do have 2 one-week in-person sessions in Kingston, Ontario. We have opening session and we have innovation week. Interestingly, the innovation week for the current MMAI class is happening right now. And so as soon as I'm finished this webinar, I'm going to be zipping out to our Donald Gordon Conference Center and meeting with the students out there and see how they're wrapping things up for the innovation week. And as I mentioned, we do have ongoing coaching, networking, and career support for students in this program as well. Okay, now I've talked a lot about the business side. This is a technical program, so there is a lot of Python programming in here for sure. You've got 12 months before the program starts, so lots of time to get practicing some Python and learn about that, practice it, get very familiar with Python. We're at an interesting time in our lives, especially with generative AI. You can get a lot of code online and you can generate your own code and things like that. That's great. But when you think about it from a management perspective, right, you have to understand what it takes to actually code. You have to understand the resources that are involved, how many people, how much code is going to be needed to do whatever you're trying to accomplish. And so that's an important part, is to get in there, still got to do some Python coding, You need to understand the logic behind it, and you need to be able to debug and troubleshoot whenever there's a problem. So that's why we still say you've got to do some Python programming in this in the MMAI program, and so it's extremely important. But we will be looking at other things. We have access to academic licensing for Snowflake, Databricks, SAS, Viya, Tableau. We use Azure as well for cloud compute, and of course SQL is always very handy to have as well. You know, it's faster just to program it than it is to actually look up the code and copy it from somewhere else. So these are the kinds of things that we're going to be looking at in this program. Now, as a student, we understand, of course, the majority of our students are working full-time. Quite often they'll have family and other commitments and things, so you're extremely busy. But if you do have extra time and you do want to make a deeper dive into life and everything MMAI, we have a number of professional workshops, we have technical workshops, we have cross-program partnerships with, like, for example, QUAF, our Queen's University Alternate Asset Fund. And so these are opportunities for you to get involved if you do have some spare moments. Lots of time to do these, or lots of opportunities to do things. Every year we have a student leadership group. So there's a class president, and then there's usually like a student government kind of thing. And so there's opportunities for you to get involved. Certainly helps you with your resume, and gives you those sort of, you know, beyond the job, beyond the student kind of experiences. So very helpful to you and your learning. And so, you know, a lot of these experiences are driven by the student leadership group. And so if there's something in particular that you are passionate about, for example, we have equity, diversity, and inclusion. We've had those clubs in the past, and those are driven by students as well. So we're always happy as a program to support those initiatives. And then who's in the class with you? So this class, the MMAI program, tends to be a little bit older than some of our other programs, but we do have this average age of 34, but the range is what's more important, right? 22 to 52. So we do get older people in this program who just need to learn about artificial intelligence. They see it coming, right? They're not close to retirement, so they need to get on top of this. So you're going to see that people. And then you're going to see younger people who come in with great technical skills, right? And they just want to get that sort of head up on the business leadership and understanding technology and how to get things done inside an organization. So we've got that as well. And so, you know, the bottom line is that, you know, as a business school, you're joining a huge alumni network. And this alumni network, you know, one thing is Smith School of Business, but we're also part of Queen's University. And so that is truly a multinational alumni network of tens of thousands of people. Pretty much every country in the world is going to have some Queen's grads there. And so this is a network that is just bar none. It's so helpful in you and your career and your network. And it's, you know, some of those words that you can start at the beginning of any conversation. Oh, I'm a Queen's grad. And so that's going to be phenomenal to help you get through doors that are traditionally closed. Now, one of the things we also understand is that most people take these programs to think about their careers and enhance their careers. So we do offer a significant career management framework for all of our students. This framework, it includes everything from career coaching, okay? And when I say career coaching, it's not just about getting a job, it's about your career. So if you're thinking, okay, I want to be the C-suite, you know, within 25 years, our coaching can help you with that. They can help you identify the steps that you're going to have to accomplish before you're going to get to the C-suite, right? There's a very particular path to get there. And so by mapping things out a little bit and talking to our career coaches, you're going to be able to figure out that path and stick to it. We have a number of online resources. We have self-assessments for, like, you know, resume and cover letter writing, that sort of thing. We have a number of workshops on interviews, personal brand and profile, your networking opportunities, your communication styles. And then on top of all that, we do have a job board, right? And so you can imagine there's a lot of opportunities in the AI space right now, especially with business, and being able to understand both the business side and the technology side is extremely unique and fortuitous to graduates of the program. Now, MMA admission requirements. So I'm going to turn over to my colleague Alex, and he's going to run through the requirements and the process. Alex.
Great. Thanks very much, Dean, and thanks to everyone for joining us today on the call. We've had a number of questions come in already, sort of around the application process and requirements. So that's great. Please do feel free to keep putting in your questions. We'll have some more time for those at the end. But just to quickly go over the admissions requirements. So my name is Alex. I'm a recruitment advisor for the program. So what we do initially is we need to review a copy of your resume and unofficial transcript to help determine your eligibility. So a lot of the questions today in the chat were about eligibility. And the long and the short of it is the best way to determine that is to get in touch with us, one of our advisors. Let us review your documents so we can give you a good, concise sense of what your eligibility is or when you may be eligible if you're looking at a future intake of the program. But in terms of the general requirements, you can see them listed there on the screen. We do need a completed undergraduate degree, as this is a full master's program. And we do look at the transcript and look for some of the courses that are listed there on the screen. For example, math, business courses, commerce, any computer science or economics courses, and general quant courses covering statistics. We do typically ask for a minimum of 2 years of relevant work experience, so some hands-on technical work experience. We get a lot of questions about this during the application process. Part of the reason is the program is really designed for working professionals. It's one of our professional graduate programs, so to leverage the full learning potential of the program, it is really valuable to come into the program, not only with some previous academic experience, but also with some previous professional experience that you can really leverage in your coursework and projects. In addition to that, we ask for the name and email contact for 2 references. Typically, people give us professional references, which is fine. We get official transcripts sent over. If your degree was completed from outside of Canada, we do ask for a course-by-course WES assessment of the degree in lieu of an official transcript. And once we've received those documents, including also a cover letter, then we would schedule an interview with the program director. And that would be the final step in the application process. The GMAT is not required, so you don't need to worry about the GMAT. If you are interested in doing the GMAT or you have done the GMAT, it can help to strengthen your application, but it's not a requirement. Again, most important thing to keep in mind is just that we're here to help you through this process. So you will be paired with an application advisor. Her name is Jennifer Mayer. She's our colleague. So Jen will be working with you step by step through the process. So you're never alone. We're always here to support you through it. So get in touch with us and let us help you determine your eligibility and help you present as strong a case as possible. Can we go to the next slide, Dean? Perfect. So as I mentioned, yeah, you'll be paired with an application advisor and she'll help you work through the application process, not only providing information and feedback, but also helping you present as strong an application as possible. So we really want to help you try to be successful, both pre-program, in the program, post-program. We want you to be successful the whole way through. And so that success starts from day 1 at the beginning of the application process. That's really what we're here to help you do. So again, there's a number of ways to reach out to us on the program website. So if you head to the program website, you'll see there's the application form if you're ready to apply. If you're not quite sure yet, there's a contact form that you can request a virtual one-on-one. You can introduce yourself to us to find out a bit more. So whatever stage in the decision-making process you're at, just head over to the website, fill out a form, get in touch with an advisor, and we're here to help you sort of move forward and know what your options are for the next steps. It is rolling admissions, so we do kind of accept applications and review them on a rolling basis throughout the year. And as Dean mentioned, we're sort of finalizing this year's class and starting to look ahead to May of 2026. And again, as Dean also mentioned, getting your application started as early as possible is one of the best ways to help ensure a successful application. Okay, and so now we're at the fees and financing. So did you want me to cover this or would you like to cover these?
It's okay, I can do that if you like. Perfect. I always forget to pass over slide control to Alex, so my apologies for that.
No problem.
But I can look after the money, the hard part, because this is not a cheap program, it's an expensive program, but But anyway, it is what it is. So there is a qualification here. So these are the fees that are starting for May 2025. So you can certainly expect the fees to be higher for the May 2026 start, which we'll be talking about. Basically, what happens at Queen's and most universities, certainly in Ontario, is that fees are processed by our boards of trustees. That don't actually happen until May. So those new fees will be posted probably towards the end of May 2025 for the following year. This program is what we consider to be a private program in Ontario, which means that it is not eligible for OSAP. This is extremely unfortunate, and there's a lot of different reasons for that, but that's part of the reality of this particular MMAI program. So domestic fees are $68,350 Canadian, and for international students, it's $89,975 Canadian. These fees are broken down into basically a deposit and 3 installment payments over the course of a year. But these fees are also all inclusive, okay? So it does include your tuition, but it also includes your books, learning materials, your meals and accommodations for our opening and closing or innovation sessions, all the software licenses that you use in the program as well. And so, so basically it does become I think slightly more affordable when you think of that, like this is the only fee that you'll have to pay. We do have a relationship with Empower Financing and Prodigy Finance for our international students. Those organizations do provide loans to students, international students. And then for domestic students, generally we do have a relationship on our website with the Royal Bank, but in my experience, I think most students' experiences as well, it's just usually best to work with the company or the bank that you usually work with, but definitely shop around. It's like a mortgage, you can get different interest rates and that kind of stuff. So I encourage you to start that process early as well. Excuse me. For our in-person sessions, okay, students, you are responsible for traveling from your home to the hotel or where we're staying in Kingston. But once you check into us and say that you're here on arrival, we'll take care of all your meals and accommodations for that week, okay? But you are responsible for the travel bit from home to Kingston. Okay. Now, I just want to reemphasize that, even though this is about artificial intelligence and it is about a very technology sort of world that we're moving ourselves into, this digitally transformed world, we do want to encourage you or just to emphasize that it's about business, okay? We want to start with that business problem. We want to get the business value. It's derived through analytics, AI, and the discovery of insights that support our decision making. And AI is something that, again, as a technology, it can just sit on a computer or on a hard drive somewhere. It won't work without people and people with strong power skills, right? You need a vision of how you're going to be leveraging AI. You need to develop a strategy on how you're going to go forward. You need people who are going to lead the group through here because there's going to be significant change in any organization when you actually apply this kind of knowledge. And so this is all things that you as a person need to figure out because you're not going to be in it alone, okay? You're going to be working with other people. It's a team environment, and this collaboration is extremely important. And let's face it, the digital culture, artificial intelligence, analytics, evidence-based decision-making is not going away, right? We've seen it, we've seen value from these things, and we know it's going to be here for the long term. And so it's more important that we have leaders who embrace this knowledge, learn about it, and then practice it, okay? And that's what this program is really all about. Okay, and this is me. Sorry, quick cough. That QR code is my LinkedIn profile, so I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to do that. There's my email address as well. And then on the next one, This one here, this QR code will get you to book a virtual one-on-one meeting with somebody like Alex who can talk to you about the program and about your particular application to it. And I encourage you to do that as quickly as possible. Like I said, we're just wrapping up the recruitment for the May 2025 start, but it's never too early to start for the next one. Okay, now I'm going to answer a few questions. Okay, are there any particular employees or employers that we work with at Queen's, in particular the health sector, government, private companies? So what I mean, people always talk about careers and that kind of stuff. Where do you go? What do you do? Getting back to my last slide on LinkedIn, hop on LinkedIn. Take a look. It's everybody's resume, right? It's where they are, what they've been doing. But I would highly, recommend that you hop on there, do a quick search for Smith School of Business, take a look for MMAI degree, and you can see all the graduates, where they work, when did they take the program, what kind of jobs they've had before the program, after the program, and then try to find yourself. Okay, try to see yourself, see that mirror, and figure out, do I fit into that sort of category, or is that the kind of company I can work with? When you think about employers in general, financial institutions, for sure, they tend to have the resources to be able to hire and build huge teams. We're seeing some great work being done at Canada's big banks. We certainly insurance firms. We're seeing retail companies like Canadian Tire, Loblaw, Sobeys. All right, all these organizations are hiring. There's a lot of consulting firms out there. All the big 5 consulting firms are all looking for people who have a good knowledge of AI as well as business. And so it just goes on and on and on. Every single organization out there is thinking about artificial intelligence, and they need people to be able to do this. Now, the other side of that is you may not see job postings about this, but this is where your network comes into play, right? If organizations, as they go through fiscal years, they go into hiring mode, and they'll be looking for people quite a bit. And this is where companies will definitely come to us at Smith and looking to hire people, and we can certainly recommend students. We have Resume Book. We'll distribute that. We'll identify some students that might be really good for certain companies and certain roles, and the opportunities are definitely there. Okay. Okay, and Kruti Delvi, when generating our own code as a business, does that replace closed AI like Microsoft? Some companies forbid the use of OpenAI. Yeah, for sure. It all depends on the company and what the company is trying to do and what kind of restrictions they're going to put it on. There's no doubt about that. And then, that gets me back to some of the other questions we have about ethics and AI, right? I mean, just because you can do certain things, does that mean you should be doing things? And certainly companies who are going to come up with data governance strategies and things. And so, it's important that you align your own ethical considerations with your companies. And that goes both ways. Sometimes companies may not be quite so ethical. And so that might question your own thoughts and considerations. So again, when you're looking for employment, that's something to take into consideration. Will there be a fully online option available in the future for people who are not in Ontario? I'm never going to say no because we have our Masters of Management Analytics. We have a blended section of that, and that has been extremely successful. So I think if we saw a point where, demand outside of GTA was for the MMAI program, I think, we're pretty innovative. We would probably consider that. But as of today, right now, no, we don't have a plan for that, but I would definitely say, stay tuned. Okay, and I don't see any more open questions at the moment. So, well, we'll call it done for today. So again, thank you very much for joining me. I'm just going to switch over to this QR code to get you to book a virtual one-on-one to make sure your application is going to be as strong as possible. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the future as a student in the program. Great. Thank you very much. Bye.